it's a love-hate relationship.
Ain't that the truth?
Is it available? Is this available? Is this? I mean,
Does it come in blue?
Does it come in blue? I'm like, what? It's a tennis ball.
Hey, fellow rebels, welcome back. If you've been following our channel for any length of time, you know that in our last video we were in West Texas doing some gate guarding, and so today we are back home in Arkansas, the natural state, hence the natural state rebels. We're here visiting with family, and we've come to a place here that was kind of nostalgic for both Shane and I, because we spent some summers here as kids. So we've got a nice backdrop for you here. But today's video is we're going to answer some questions about gate guarding, and hopefully you'll enjoy that, and maybe this will answer some of your questions. But if you're new here to our channel, we say thank you so much for all of our new subscribers. My name is Susan.
I'm Shane.
And this is Snickers.
Little Snicker pup.
She's wanting to get down and sniff everything, but so yeah, we are full-time RVers. We sold our home and almost everything we own back in early 2021, and we hit the road, and we've been traveling around ever since. And if you have missed some of our other videos, go back and watch them, because that really helps our channel.
Stay tuned to the end, because we're going to have some tips to share with you as well that only people that have done gate guarding would know to give you, but just stay to the end for that. But so the top questions that people are asking about is, number one is, what is gate guarding in the oil fields? I mean, it's basically you're just monitoring and controlling access to an oil rig, logging vehicles and visitors in and out. Okay, so the number two question is, how much do gate guards get paid? So this does vary. Mostly it's per day. You get paid per day, and it can range anywhere from $150 to $300 per day, and that's in a 24-hour period. That's not per couple. That is per couple. It's not per person. So you have two people guarding the gate, and you would get paid so much money per day. Like I said, either $150 to $300 per day. That's for a 24/7 gate. They have 12-hour gates, and singles can work those, but they usually provide a guard shack and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, so, it's anywhere from $150 to $300 a day, with the average being right around $200 a day. So that works out to be, $4,500 to $9,000 a month. Or you could make up to right around $70,000 a year if you did it all year. So that's for a couple, not each. And number three is, people ask, what about taxes? Is it 1099 or W-2 or whatever? It's almost always 1099 because you're an independent contractor. That's the tax status. It's pretty straightforward and pretty simple. So you'll have to hold your own money out to pay your taxes. Yeah. So the fourth question is, what are the working hours like? So again, or like we said previously, it is a 24-hour gate. Most of them are. So if you have a couple, you just split up your hours. You can split them up either however you want to, but usually each works a 12-hour shift. So while one is working, the other one's either doing a couple, maybe a few things, but mainly they're sleeping is what it is. That's how it works. So one of you works while the other one sleeps, and then when the other one gets up, they take over, and that's usually the way it goes. You could always switch up your hours if you want to do however you want to do them, but we always did just 12-hour shifts. You can break them up into smaller chunks throughout the day if you're off and on, but I really like the 12 hours all at once, because that way if one of you wants to go do laundry or get groceries or something or go into town, you can do that during your time period and go to sleep as well. Number five is, do gate guards live on site? And if you're a 24-hour shift like we do, 24/7, then yes, you do live on site in your RV. They do provide hookups, water, electricity, sewer, and all that. And they'll come out, send some out to dump those things every once in a while to resupply you with water and to refuel the generator tank. At the 12-hour gates, you won't have an RV on site. You just work out, like we said earlier, you just work out of a guard shack usually that they provide, which is heated and cooled. So, and they'll usually provide a porta potty there. Yeah, if you're a 12-hour gate, they have a porta potty on site for you. Yeah. So question number 6 is, do I need any special qualifications or licenses? All of the companies are going to require you to do a background check. Some may even require a drug test, but you will need a Texas security license, which is a class 2, once you get on, the company will show you how to do it. You have online testing and all that kind of stuff. It's really easy. You don't have to go through a lot of rigmarole, but it's all done online, and you can do that really easily. There are some gates you may have to carry a gun, but then you'd have to get a special license for that. But other than that, no. There's just the background check, maybe a drug test, and then get your security license online.
And question number 7 is, what kind of work environment can I expect? Well, I mean, a lot of these gates are in Texas. I think there's a few out of state, but most of them are in Texas, either in South Texas or West Texas. So you can expect, you're going to be isolated. A lot of these places are in the middle of nowhere, but there are people around, because usually there are other oil rigs, and it's, if there's oil in the ground, there's people everywhere trying to get it out. So, but it can be kind of isolating. You're out there by yourself, or, like I say, not by yourself, but you're out there out in the desert, or out in South Texas. You could be 20 miles down a dirt road.
Our the very first gate guard that we did was in Carlsbad, New Mexico, and we were right outside of the town of Carlsbad, so that was pretty easy.
You could see the lights of town. We were only about a mile or two, just a few miles, I think, from the actual town itself. So there are some that are right in town, but you can expect most of them to be isolated.
Yeah, because the second one that we did in Carrizo Springs, Texas, we were 40 minutes down a dirt road before you ever even got to town. So,
yeah, it was way out there.
Yeah, so you can expect to be out and,
And as far as where most of the jobs are, most of them are in South Texas, but there are still some in West Texas too, at least from Guard 1, the company that we worked for twice. But South Texas is mostly where they'll put you if you want to do this. But if you want West Texas, ask specifically for West Texas. You'll be more of an open desert environment. So that's kind of the environment. It could be dusty. There's not a lot of rain in these areas. It could be hot in the summertime. Not too bad in the winter, but you got to expect some wind and some dust. And
if you've never been out there, it can be very windy.
And in West Texas, we saw a rattlesnake, which I'll show you a little clip from that. But yeah, so you'll see that, I had to kill a rattlesnake. There are a lot of times what you want to see is the roadrunner birds, because they will beat a snake to death. I mean, they love chasing snakes. So if you see a roadrunner, you're in good hands. So leave them alone, obviously. But that's what the work environment is like.
So question number 8 is, how do couples share the workload? We kind of already went into this, where most of the time you can split it up 12-hour shifts. Now, I would recommend that the person doing the day shift is probably always going to be busier. So if you want to do a kind of a fair split up, maybe from midnight to noon, and then from noon to midnight, that way you're kind of both carrying the load, because otherwise the person doing the day shift could be extremely busy while the person doing the night shift might be doing nothing.
So number 9 is, what equipment or resources are provided, which I've kind of went into some of this already, but a lot of companies will supply things like, like an iPad if they want you to log it in and out with an iPad. Some people still do paper and pen and all that, but they'll provide that, and they'll provide the lighting outside usually. For nighttime, you get some big lights you want to light up, stuff like that, and vest, like a security vest. Like I said, we haven't worked for all these companies, but Guard 1 does supply these things with a reflective vest that says security on the back. And they also Guard 1 provided some sensors, so you can kind of not be caught off guard when somebody's coming in or out. They'll go past the sensors and you'll hear it inside your RV. So that's usually the main things that they provide, not to mention the hookups, all the utilities.
So question number 10 is, what is the typical contract duration? You can have long contracts and you can have short contracts. It really depends on you. You are in control. Since you're an independent contractor, you can, let the company know, hey, I can only work 2 months, or I can only work 3 weeks, or whatever. Since you are the independent contractor, it's really up to you.
It's up to you, yeah. Mm-hmm. And you need to tell them that up front.
Yes.
So if you can only work a week, tell them a week. They may have a place where they can put you.
Yeah.
But I would try to at least give them a month,
At least
3 weeks to a month. That's, otherwise it's really not worth driving all the way out if you're a long ways from West Texas or South Texas.
Yeah.
It may not be worth driving all the way out there for less than that. Yeah, that's up to you to decide that, though. So number 11 is a big one that we get asked. A lot of people are concerned, is it safe? For the most part, yes. You are a security guard, and if anybody's going to come out there to steal something or to cause harm or do anything, they got to go past you first. So I can only tell you from my own experiences. I had one time, when we were in Carlsbad, New Mexico, we're right outside of town. So the closer you are to town, the closer you are to people. And this guy at about 2 o'clock in the morning, this is why I prefer to work at night in case this kind of stuff happens. But he just come out of nowhere, just out of the darkness, and we were still a few miles from town. So it was shouldn't be anybody walking around at 2 o'clock in the morning, but he just popped up out there, and he kept walking aggressively towards me. And he was, he looked like he was on meth or something, but I didn't know what his intentions were. So I told him to stop and don't come any closer. And he did stop, but he kept slowly walking up. And about that time, somebody was checking in too. A worker was checking in. So, it was kind of a dicey situation. I didn't know what the guy was doing or what his intentions were. And he was just asking me for my car. And I was like, "What are you asking me? What are you saying?" I thought he was going to try to steal the car, but he said, "I need a ride. I need a ride." So he just he needed to ride a couple miles down the road to his house. And I said, "Well, you're not going to get it here, so keep walking." And because he acted like he wasn't going to leave. But anyway, I started heading back towards my car, and I think I don't know what he thought, but he left. But that's the only one scenario.
So number 12 is cell coverage. And then, honestly, it can be dicey. We have two carriers that we use, AT&T and Verizon, and depending on certain parts of Texas, AT&T is the only thing that works. So we've had to use both of them.
Sometimes Verizon's the only one that works.
Yeah, so it just depends, but we would highly recommend you have at least 2 carriers, those 2 which are the most common, so you can at least get coverage. So we have a router that we use that has a roof antenna, and we can access both AT&T and Verizon through that. So that's what we would recommend.
It's a booster kind of. It picks up signals from all the way around.
Yeah.
So the next question kind of ties into the previous one. It's question number 13, which is, what about internet access? So with our router, our setup that we have, it's a router with 2 SIM cards, so we can get AT&T and Verizon, and we have data plans through both of those, so we can usually have our own little Wi-Fi set up in our own RV, our own little internet connection. But we don't have Starlink, but Starlink for this job would be probably pretty good to have, because if you don't have a cell phone signal, and if you're out in a clear sky, which most places you will be, you line of sight of the northern sky, I think, for Starlink, you can use VoIP or Wi-Fi calling. So you can go into your phone's connection settings and turn on Wi-Fi calling. So if you can get an internet connection from satellite, you can usually make phone calls through that internet connection on your phone settings. So that way, if you don't have a cell phone signal and you need to call somebody, you can do it that way. But most of the time, we've had no problems with our internet with those 2 cellular providers with a data plan. But that's how you handle your internet, because you're definitely going to want internet, because that's how we watch all of our TV, streaming services like Netflix, and we watch a lot of YouTube. So the internet is pretty important. You'd probably go pretty crazy out there. You could read books, I guess.
Okay, so number 14 is, how does one contact the company for the interview, and what companies are hiring? Well, I can tell you that pretty much all those companies are always hiring, because they've always got gates and they turn people over because some people have emergencies and they have to leave. So they're pretty much always hiring. Now, we've only worked for 2 companies, and one of them is no longer in business. But the other one, Guard One, that we worked for, we've worked for them twice. And we're going to put all their contact information in the links of this video. Maria is the contact.
Maria Lopez. Yeah.
Maria Lopez is our contact. So just check the description below this video if you need some contact information from Maria Lopez. We'll leave her phone number and her email down in the description. And if you contact her and you sign up with Guard One, be sure to let them know that Shane and Susan Wood sent you. We are the Natural State Rebels. But just let them know that we sent you. We'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, we do appreciate it. Going back on something else we're talking about as far as the pay goes, it varies, but obviously it's averaged of $200 a day. But also factor in, that you get utilities and free hookups for as long as you want to be out there. So, if you factor in each month, it's between $400 and $700 on the average for an RV park. I know there are some RV resorts that are really expensive per month, but I'm talking about on average, just a regular RV park, $400 to $700 a month. So you're getting that as a benefit as well. I just wanted to kind of throw that in there to let you know that, just factor everything in together. as we promised towards the end of the video, here's a couple of tips that we would give you, having done this a few times now. I would say to get an extended stay propane attachment. If you have an onboard propane tank on your RV, like we do have a Class A, so we have an onboard tank, and once that runs out, you have to go drive somewhere to get it refilled. So if you have that set up, I would recommend getting one of those little extended stay pieces, and I made a video about that, and I'll put that in the description or at the end of this video, one of the other, so you can see how to. It's really easy to set up, it's really easy to do, but that way whenever you get low on propane, if you're out there for a long time, you don't have to worry about going anywhere, because it'd be very difficult to leave your other partner back at the campsite the whole time, or the gate. It'd be weird. So just get one of those little extended stay things, and you can use a smaller propane tank and just hook right up to it, and you can go back and forth and exchange those at gas stations really easily. So I would recommend that as a tip.
And tip number 2 is to join a Facebook group. There are a lot of Facebook groups out there regarding gate guarding. So they'll give you all the information. They can answer any of your questions if we haven't answered them here. There's just a lot of information, a lot of wealth of information. People who've been doing it for a really long time. So definitely go check out those, because I think we've joined a couple of those as well, haven't we? Got a lot of information from there.
Well, not just information. I join it mainly because a lot of times if they are in a pinch and somebody needs somebody to cover a gate real quick, they'll post it on one of those sites, and the companies hiring, the gate guard companies themselves will post on there if they have openings. So that's usually the very first place you'll see an opening for a gate. So that's definitely good a good tip. I'm not big on Facebook personally, just a personal thing, but Facebook is good for the groups.
It can be very helpful.
Yeah. And for Facebook Marketplace, although it's a love-hate relationship.
Ain't that the truth?
Is it available? Is this available?
Does it come in blue?
Does it come in blue? I'm like, what? It's a tennis ball, or whatever it is. Does it come in blue? I'm like, this is not a store. I'm selling this. I don't know. Facebook Marketplace is funny, and you got to watch for it. Anyway, that's a love-hate relationship.
We digress.
Yeah.
And tip number 3?
Tip number 3 is, I think Susan said a little bit of this earlier, but this is really important to consider. If you're working a 24/7 gate like we do, and you have to split up the hours, split them up. If you want an equal workload, split them up anywhere between 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Split your shift right there, usually right around 1 or 2, somewhere right around that, maybe noon, 1 or 2. And then go from like 1 p.m. to 1 a.m., 1 a.m. to 1 p.m., that kind of a shift. That way, both of you get a little piece of the daytime busyness, and both of you get some slow time. Mm-hmm. Because I think Susan almost went crazy because she, on
this last
West Texas gate, she had, you had some of the numbers.
I chose a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and let me tell you, there were some days I was going in and out that door over 100 times a day, and it was a lot. And if you're doing that, you're getting interrupted every 4 to 5 minutes. Every 4 to 5 minutes, you go in, you sit down, you get comfortable. 4 or 5 minutes later, you're going out the door. Just the whole 12 hours, not the whole 12-hour shift, but during the busy times, and it can be very stressful.
Well, I know people would probably think, well, why don't you just stay outside? Well, you could.
And I did a few days, but if it's really windy out there and
or
the
dusty
dust
or hot,
you can't sit out there when the conditions are. You can only sit out there if the conditions are conducive to sitting outside.
Plus, one of the draws of the job really is to be able to go in your own home and sit there and be at work, you know, and watch TV and do things and be in your own house, your own home, so to speak.
So those are our 3 tips.
That's our 3 tips.
So we just want to say again, thank you so much for watching. We hope this video gave you some information that you needed, and maybe some you didn't know that you needed. And if you enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up. Share it with everyone that you know that might be interested, other full-time RVers, and definitely go back and watch some of our other videos if you haven't, because that really helps out our channel if you go back and watch older videos. But
yeah, we want to also thank all the viewers from and subscribers. We got a lot of new subscribers from our last video.
Yeah, we really appreciate that.
Gate guarding in West Texas. We had up to 33,000, I think now, viewers, and like 250 subscribers we got from that
one video.
So this is a follow-up and also a thank you to all of our new subscribers and our existing ones that have been with us from the beginning.
Yeah.
But just go back and watch our videos, and we show how we started our RV life, and we sold our house and all that stuff. We got all that documented, so it's pretty interesting if you want to see what it's really like to do
Follow
what we do.
along our journey where we came from and now
Yeah.
where we are.
And we do love it. We still love it. It's almost 3.5 years now into it. And the things we've seen, the places we've been able to go, and the people we've met.
We would never have been able to do that living in a
Never.
house.
No.
Never.
So, even if you don't make a lot of money doing this, or whatever your financial
That's the
situation
thing about full-time RVing. You don't have to make as much money if you live in a house because
you don't need to.
You don't have all the expense. Well, we don't have all the
We don't.
expenses because when we started this, we went debt-free. Once we sold our house,
Yeah.
all of our cars are paid for. So everything is paid for. We have no debt. So
Yeah, that's key. Get rid of all your debt, and you don't have to worry about how much money you make.
yeah.
And then if you have no debt and everything's paid for, and you want to do some gate guarding for a year and stack up some money, you could really stack up a pretty serious bank account if you just
Yeah.
want to stick it out for a year. So
Because you can't go anywhere.
you can't. Yeah, you're not going to spend it.
You can't go anywhere.
Well, you can spend it on Amazon. Oh,
That's where everybody spends their money on Amazon.
that reminds me of another very late tip. Tip number 4: get you a PO box wherever you're going to. If you're going to gate garden somewhere for a couple of months or a month, go to the closest post office and get a PO box there, so that way you can have your Amazon delivery, your packages delivered there.
Amazon will deliver to PO boxes. They
Yeah.
will.
So that's a good tip. Yeah.
Yeah, we've done that in all three places we stayed. I think we got a PO box, and then because we have a mail forwarding service, all of our mail goes to our mail
address.
forwarding service address, and then they just ship everything to us, all of our mail. But now that we don't have hardly any debt, we don't hardly get any mail. But
But you're going to want to order some things, because
Yeah.
you're kind of isolated. So it's good to be able to order things on Amazon and be able to have the place to go pick them up.
Mm-hmm.
And don't depend on Amazon drop boxes or whatever they call them, the shipment boxes. They're hard to find a lot of times, and they're always full. So just get you a PO box somewhere, and I know it could be a little expensive. I don't know, how much was it up front?
the last one when we were in Midland, it was $116, I think. But since we only used it for a couple of months, we got money back whenever
Yeah.
we closed the box.
Yeah, so when you close it down, they'll give you remaining money back. Mm-hmm. So that's just the final tip. And stay tuned for more adventures, because we're back in the natural state.
Yeah, we're back in the natural state, and we want to go do some.
There's a lot of stuff in Arkansas to show you.
Yeah, we want to go do some exploring our own state and show you how pretty it really is. And as you can see behind us, it is a beautiful state. So
Yeah, there's a lot of nice serene places, a lot of wonderful outdoor. If you love nature, Arkansas is a natural state, so obviously it's the place to be. But anyway, to wrap this up, we do appreciate it, and until next time,
live in the sunshine.